It's time to get real. You ready? Let's do it. Hey everyone, it's Amanda Johnson, and this week for my Thoughtful Thursday, I want to share a story. I want to share my story with you, and I want to get as real and as raw and as vulnerable as I possibly can. It's been in my world a lot lately just how important sharing your story is and how important and powerful it can be, not only for me, but most importantly, I think, or as importantly, for others. And I feel called to share some of my story and some of my truths with you in today's video. I'd like to start with how I've always been a seeker. I now use the term soulful inquirer, and that has really served me well throughout my life. I read a lot of books, I attended lots of trainings, I was constantly on the lookout for all the different ways I could improve myself. And what I came to realize, or at least the story I now choose to believe, is that through all of this self awareness and through all of this knowledge and newfound information, I determined that I'm not good enough. And I remember about 10 years ago now, living in San Francisco, and I deeply wanted to create a one-woman show. I thought this would be my opportunity to share all of what I have learned about myself and humanity and share it with an audience in a way that was really meaningful and really impactful. And after starting this solo performance workshop, I got to writing and brainstorming and thinking of what it was that I wanted to share with my audience. And after many, many days and weeks of trying to journal and think about what it was that I had to share, I came to a conclusion that I was just too normal and I didn't have anything of value worth sharing. I mean, looking back on it now, I can smile and giggle a little bit because it's like, oh my goodness, even me being too normal wasn't good enough. And it was something that I had to fix. So this just was part of my journey. And, after that, I was in a relationship with someone who really, really triggered me and challenged me on a very regular basis to trust that I was good in and of myself, but I refused to believe it. And that showed up in a lot of the pain and the suffering that I went through in terms of judging myself and judging others and doubting my abilities left and right. And that had me jumping from, job to job or from interest to interest. So fast forward a few years and I'm still on this journey, and it's not as if it's gone. I'd be lying to say that I don't still struggle with those beliefs, those thoughts, because I do. And I think that's what I'm here to share with you, is that I do still struggle with really owning and believing in my own value and in my own worth. And the thing that I think, gotten a lot better at, and that has been through more of the work that I've done and books that I've read and trainings that I have attended and all the inner development work that I've done, is that I can at least be a bit more removed and I can observe what's going on rather than getting really caught up in it. But the thing is, I still don't always feel enough, and I still doubt what value I have to offer. And boy, that really became apparent as I started to launch a business, especially because my business is me. I mean, I am it. And while, of course, I have such a desire and I truly feel I am called to share my stories and my experiences, and to as Shakespeare says, hold a mirror up to nature. I believe that is my role. I believe that's actually many of our roles. I'm still plagued with this belief that I am not enough and I am not valuable. As I started my business, that came in many different forms. It really challenged me to put myself out there. It also came in a form of feeling like I needed to be the expert and putting out information in such a way that really positioned me as if I do know it all or I have it all figured out. And that actually also, that idea of having it all figured out, it still resonates with me in a certain way, because as I look out in the industry of women and men who are going out and paving their own paths and offering so much value to the world in the forms of personal stories or coaching, training, etc. One thing I feel like I see in common is, or at least a belief that I tell myself, or a story I choose to believe, is that they all have these kind of ideal lives. And so no wonder people want to listen to them and follow them and pay them money, because they have it figured out. And I really, that caused me to look at my own life and to see, well, I don't have this picturesque life. I don't have the dream home, or I don't make lots of money, well, to whatever that means, at least what I think that means for me. And I don't even have this picture perfect relationship. And so, again, who am I to share these experiences and these anecdotes and what I truly believe in with others? Again, that's the belief. That's the story. That's the part of me, the ego, the critic, that really wants to hold on to this belief that I'm not enough. And as I said, it's not like that's gone. I'm simply more aware of it, and I can bring the observer in to go, okay, so that's still there. Interesting. What can we do with that? How can we learn from that? How can we move forward despite the fact that you believe you aren't valuable? So I may not have a picture perfect life, but I do believe, and what I'm really getting more confident in, is that we are all light bulbs, and we are all shining light on the collective unconscious. So if I can be one of the light bulbs, and if I can potentially encourage someone else to be a light bulb, then the more light we can shine, and the easier it is for all of us to see. So I'm going to keep moving forward with that mission and with that belief and with that intention. So I guess what I'm really wanting to share with you here is it's not like every day I jump out of bed and go, okay, I'm great, I'm fine. And I've even noticed in my own business and what I'm sharing with people, my content, that sometimes I may still want to offer it up as if I do have it all figured out. And the reality is I don't. And I actually don't believe any of us do, nor is that necessarily something that we need. I don't know if I need to have it all figured out. What I'm really trying to do is walk my talk, and in each moment, when I believe those stories or fall back into old patterns of identifying as someone who isn't good enough, I pause, I observe. Sometimes it takes minutes, sometimes it takes hours, sometimes it takes days to come back, but I come back, and I think that's the important thing, is that we continue to come back. And most recently, I'm thinking of this book that I just wrote, this tiny book, and how excited I was to write it and to put it out into the world. And even that continued to challenge me and my beliefs and stories about, who am I and what do I have to say? And oh my gosh, if I put it out like this, is that even the right way to do it? And of course, you can imagine the book is about that very thing. Letting go of right and wrong, and moving out of our perfectionist paralysis, and all these other lessons and areas of judgment in my own life. So just even recently, within the last few days, I continue to explore what this means to not be enough. And I guess what I want to leave you with is that we are, and I am, and I know that. I sometimes doubt it, and I believe that's going to be part of my journey. The more I share, the more I show up and say, you know what? It's good enough. Whatever that is, I believe I get clearer and clearer on that. And I believe the same can be for any one of you, to pause and just become the observer and notice when those thoughts come up, or when you start to tell that story or feel that belief, and just notice it and really know that A, you're not the only one, and B, even though you may feel that way, it doesn't mean you can't still move forward and still share your story or be a light bulb, in whatever form that may look like for you. So I offer that. I'm so I know that we are all a part of this, and it is so important that we each share who we are and what our struggles are without getting caught up in them, but really sharing them from a place of recognizing, hey, I'm having this human experience. You might be also. Let's learn from one another. Let's shine the light on these areas so that everyone can see a little bit better. I leave you with that. I encourage you to share with me. I think part of that, part of all of this for me also is, am I offering value to others? So there's still a doubt, and there's still a part of me that really wants to know. And I can sit here and say, of course I am. I am value in and of myself. I am worthy to share this information. And I believe that. And it's really great to hear from you and to know that we are in this together, and that, I'm not alone out there, that you're not alone out there, that this is serving some value. And if it's not, you can tell me that too. I promise I won't be hurt. I think actually that would be really helpful. So stop by, spend some time, leave me a message in the Facebook feed, or head on over to the blog and just let me know what's on your mind and what this is bringing up for you. And if you have a story or an experience with not being enough that you'd like to share. Because I do believe that the more light bulbs we can turn on, the better the world will be for all of us. Thanks for taking a little extra time this week to hear my story, and I'm so grateful to get to share it with you. I'll see you next week for another Thoughtful Thursday.